I, 34, suspect my wife, a 34, if he is having an affair with our mutual friend, 29, and I'm not sure how to proceed. My wife and I have had our ups and downs throughout our relationship of 12 years, but we have always supported each other and lifted each other up during tough times. We have a mutual friend, let's call him Mike, who is married to my wife's friend, whom we'll call Sarah. A few years ago, my wife and I hit a rough patch in our relationship, and we decided to separate for a few months. During that time, we worked out our differences, and my wife moved back home. Things were much better than before, but we still had our ups and downs. During that time, my wife confided in two of her close friends, Sarah and Lisa. Sarah didn't say much, probably because she and her husband Mike were also friends with me. Lisa, on the other hand, was quite vocal and straightforward. She didn't hold back and told my wife the truth, whether she wanted to hear it or not. After my wife moved back home, I noticed that Sarah acted strangely around her. She would blush or behave slightly flirtatious, but I didn't pay much attention to it, and I thought it was all in my wife's head. About a year ago, Sarah and Mike separated, and Sarah moved to a house in our neighborhood. I found it odd because Sarah and Mike lived about an hour away. During this time, Sarah would call me and ask me for favors like helping her move some boxes or doing some minor home repairs. I didn't think much of it though, as I was the only male she knew in the area. But I noticed that her odd behavior seemed to increase. She would text me more frequently, and her conversations with me on social media increased tenfold. One day, Lisa was over at our place, and we were chatting with Sarah. I came into the room for something, and Sarah's whole demeanor changed. She sat up straight, fixed her hair, and behaved differently. I didn't pay much attention to it, and Sarah left shortly after. After Sarah left, Lisa turned to my wife and said, "Sarah acts so strange around him." If I didn't know any better, I'd say she had a crush on him. My wife was taken aback that someone else had noticed. She confided in Lisa that she had been noticing Sarah's strange behavior for a long time, but I seemed to be oblivious to it. They talked about it, and my wife felt relieved that she wasn't imagining things. She didn't feel threatened by Sarah's advances or question my relationship with her in any way. Later that night, my wife jokingly mentioned to me what Lisa had said. I was surprised and thought the whole thing was ridiculous. I did admit that it was strange that Sarah chose to move to our neighborhood during her separation from Mike. However, I denied having any inappropriate relationship with Sarah, and my wife believed me. We laughed about the whole situation, and I thought nothing more of it. Fast forward a year, and Sarah is back with Mike, and her friendship with me seems to have grown stronger. We talk online a lot and text each other quite frequently. My wife doesn't speak to Sarah much anymore, and I don't talk about Sarah much anymore, and I don't talk about Sarah much either. Now I am about to reveal something I am not proud of, but my curiosity got the better of me, so I checked my wife's private messages on the social media site where she talks with her friend. There were a lot of messages, mostly from her friends, and a few from me, but none from Jack, dating back over a year. Edit to clarify. The messages are threads, so even if I don't message her for 3 weeks, it will show up in a single thread with my old messages. I felt like a terrible person, but breathed a sigh of relief. Sort of. I still had a nagging feeling, so I checked her email. I know I'm a shitty person for doing this. She had an email from the social media site saying she had received a private message from Jack the previous night at 11th her time. The message just said, "You wake," but I had just looked at her private messages and there wasn't one from Jack. She deleted it. She kept all the others but deleted the one from Jack, or many, since the messages are in threads and she deleted the thread. How peculiar. My relationship with my wife is currently in one of our rough patches. We go through waves, but are always able to make it work because we are in love, but this time it's different. Rather than discuss our problems, my wife has started saying things like we are too different to make this work. We have very different personalities, but it has always been one of our favorite things about our marriage. I am able to pick up in areas in which she is lacking, and vice versa. I was completely shocked to hear her say this. She has mentioned having problems with my personality that she has never once in 12 years had a problem with. Every trait she is picking out are things that she is picking out are things that she has in common with Jack. For example, I don't drink or go out, Jack does. I don't like the same music as her, Jack does. Little things like that. I asked her if she wanted to move out and she started panicking, saying she didn't know what she wants. Basically, she is acting like she doesn't know who to decide between. Of course, this is all speculation. That's why I am here. If I ask either one of them if there is something going on between them, of course they will deny it. If I ask Jane if Jack has been acting oddly lately, I will seem like a crazy person. I don't know how to find out what's going on. How do I find out whether or not they are having an affair? Can I? Edit. I checked our phone records online, and while my wife and I were having a very tense and heated text conversation today, she was also texting back and forth with a number that I don't recognize. I typed it into my phone, but I don't have a contact for that number, so it might not be Jack. I say might because Emily is very wealthy, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jack has 2 phones. As I was leaving work, I called John and asked him to call the number and ask who it was, to pretend he had the wrong number. He did and said that there was no answer, and the voicemail message was a generic one with no name. I am going to do some detective work tonight, and I will update as I come across anything. Edit 4. I just remembered Emily is an Apple iPhone genius, so Jack would likely know better than to do anything unsavory on her iPhone because Emily would find out. I'm leaning towards him having a second phone, but again, no proof. I know most are convinced she's having an affair, and while I feel better knowing I'm not crazy for thinking so, this absolutely sucks, but I don't feel like I have enough definitive proof yet. I need concrete evidence. Edit 2. We work opposite shifts. She's home alone all day. Jack lives an hour away but doesn't work, so he has the time to make the drive. I'm thinking of setting up a nanny cam. Any suggestions on which one? Edit 3. John has a friend that runs a business and pays for background check services, so he's going to see if he can find out whose phone number she was texting today. Edit 5. Comments are apparently locked for some reason. I don't know why, but I will post an update in a couple days when I can. Thank you everyone for your advice. He updated E34M suspect my wife, 3434, is having an affair with our mutual friend, 29, and I'm not sure how to proceed. So yesterday I tracked my wife with GPS and watched where she was going during the day. When I saw that she was in a car, I casually texted her and asked what she was up to. She said she was just walking around the neighborhood, which was in the opposite direction of where she was headed. I watched her all day, stopping here and there, going out to eat with him, traveling all over the place. I would periodically text her to make conversation, and she would lie the entire time. At one point, she said she was just walking around the neighborhood thinking about us. I knew she was with someone who had an iPhone because there were no calls or texts made that morning, so she must have communicated via iMessage. Mike has an iPhone. I highly suspected she was with him, but I had no proof. After she was dropped off at home, she texted me saying she was sorry for being distant today. She was just doing a lot of thinking. I didn't tell her I knew she was lying the whole day because I had planned to gather more evidence. Later in the evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I asked her where she was all day, and she said, "What do you mean? I told you I was walking around." In my rage, I said, "I know you are lying. I know where you've been." She admitted to spending a little time with Mike, that they went and grabbed something to eat. I told her I knew about everywhere she went. I knew about the late-night phone calls. While I was watching her yesterday, I checked the phone records and saw an unbelievable amount of calls going back and forth between them. I don't know why I didn't think to check the call records on Monday. I knew about the secret private messages on social media. I knew about it all. She confessed that she and Mike have gotten really close and spend a lot of time together talking. At first she said it was innocent. I told her if it was innocent, she wouldn't be lying and sneaking around. She agreed and admitted she knew what she was doing was wrong. I texted Sarah last night and told her everything I knew. She said she had been uncomfortable with their friendship for a while but didn't know if I was or if I even knew. We talked for a while, but I don't know what they are going to do. All I know is I am getting a divorce. My wife claims their relationship was never physical, but I can never trust her again. No matter what she does or where she goes, I will always question who she is with and if she's lying to me. I cannot and will not spend my life tracking my wife and making sure she is where she says she is and isn't sneaking around with other men. I deleted and blocked Mike off of all my social media accounts. I didn't text him or say anything to him. I know if I even tried, I would end up saying some pretty foul stuff to him, which he deserves, but I'm better than that. So not only did I lose an extremely city friend in this whole thing, I am also losing my best friend, the love of my life, and the mother of my children. I am destroyed. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1. I hear Jane is available. Op answer. Lol, moving on to someone else is the last thing on my mind right now. I need to figure out how to manage everything alone with half the income and responsibilities. But I've been crying for hours, so thank you for trying to cheer me up. Redditor 2. No matter what she does or where she goes, I will always question who she is with and if she's lying to me. I cannot and will not spend my life tracking my wife, and making sure she is where she says she is and isn't sneaking around with other men. Damn, sorry to hear that, but you're right about trust. It's like that old saying, once a jar is broken, it can never be unbroken. Op answer. It's like that old saying, once a jar is broken, it can never be unbroken. That's a great analogy. Redditor 3. My wife claims their relationship was never physical. Yet you know they spent the night together more than once. She's still lying because she's a liar, just not a very good one. Story 2. I 26'em opened my wife's A32 Snapchat, and it was a very explicit picture and caption from a guy. She's sitting not 20 feet from me, and I don't know how to handle this. I'm using a throwaway because my wife is an active Reddit user. Here's my story. My wife and I have been together for 5 years and married for 1.5 years. I've always believed that she's loyal, faithful, and loving. She's smart, gorgeous, funny, and amazing in every way. She's never given me a reason to doubt her or be suspicious of her. A few weeks ago, my wife downloaded Snapchat, which surprised me because she's not really into social media. I have a Snapchat account, but I don't use it often, and we barely snap each other. She said she downloaded it because some of her friends were using it, and it was more fun than Facebook.
I trusted her, so I didn't think much of it.
This morning, I was taking a shower, and I left my phone on the nightstand next to my wife's side of the bed. I forgot to turn off the notifications, and I didn't think much of it. Later, when I was watching TV, I heard a notification sound coming from my wife's phone, which was on her side of the bed. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I saw that the notification was from Snapchat, and it was from someone named Mike. I didn't recognize the name, so I opened it. To my horror, it was a picture of a penis with the caption, "I want your mouth on me again." I felt like the world was collapsing around me. I knew it was my wife's phone, and I didn't know what to do. I looked at her Snapchat contacts, and I saw that Mike had a yellow heart next to his name, which meant they were best friends on Snapchat. I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't know how to confront her, so I pretended like nothing happened. I've been trying to act normal, but it's eating me alive. I can't believe she cheated on me. We were happy. I thought we were happy. We have sex at least 4 times a week, and I thought that was enough. Here's the worst part. My wife is almost 12 weeks pregnant with our first child. She's sitting on the couch watching TV, and I just can't bring myself to confront her. How do I even begin to say what I need to say? Am I overreacting? Is there any way that I'm misreading the situation? I'm lost and heartbroken, and I don't know what to do. The update. First and foremost, thank you all for your love and support. I feel it from here. Honestly, thank you. It's amazing to me that strangers care so much about my baby and me. Love back to all of you. So husband knows something is up. I don't know if he saw that I opened a Snapchat from Roxy and is afraid of what I saw and afraid to bring it up, or if he's clueless and can just tell I'm upset about something. He's been asking me if I'm okay or if something is wrong about every hour. I told him my sister was having a hard time today. Ironically, she just broke up with her boyfriend. Why? He cheated, and I was going to go over to her place for dinner. I live in Pacific time zone, and to spend the night with her. I'm here now. My sister is 20 and a whiz at the social media thing. She stalked his Facebook to see if this Roxy person popped up anywhere. She looked through his friend's friend. Bingo, we found her. Well, at least pretty sure. I didn't see her face in the Snapchat. The screen was too full of her crotch. She's Facebook friends with my husband's good friend. She is listed as a receptionist at my husband's friend's law firm. My husband works a couple blocks from the law firm, and he stops by often to grab lunch with his friend. That would explain how they met. Still formulating a plan on confrontation, trying to get as much information as possible first. My sister wants to burn his life to the ground, and honestly, I do too, but I'm going to address this in the most adult way possible so that I can walk away from him with my head held high and be a deserving role model to my baby girl. Not sure it's a girl, just a feeling. Good news, my uncle is a lawyer. Most of what he deals with are divorces. I've already contacted him and asked if we could discuss some potential legal issues. Didn't specify what yet. Feels like something I should do in person during our meeting. I told him it was urgent. We are meeting tomorrow morning. I will try to update as much as I can, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you all again. Internet strangers. Update. I 26 opened my husband's or 32 Snapchat, and it was a very explicit picture and caption from a girl. He's sitting not 20 feet from me, and I don't know how to handle this. Once again, I am grateful for the tremendous support and love that I have received from everyone. It truly means a lot to me. My wife cheated on me. She revealed that it started maybe 2 weeks before last Christmas. I remained calm when confronting her and followed the advice that many of you gave me. I asked her to explain who this guy, Ryan, is and why he is her best friend on Instagram. She tried to hide her guilt, but her face gave her away immediately. She claimed that Ryan is just a coworker and that they have only been friends for 2 months. She said they're best friends because he always comments on her pictures and sends her funny memes. She also said that every once in a while, she'll send him something back, like a picture of a cake or something, to tease him about his love of sweets. I asked her why she didn't mention Ryan before. She said she didn't think it was important because he's just an acquaintance, not even a friend. Then, I asked if she had ever received any inappropriate messages from him. She answered with, "Not on purpose." I pressed her on what that meant, and she got defensive, raising her voice and accusing me of being paranoid. She claimed that sometimes people accidentally send the wrong messages to the wrong people. Then she had the audacity to say something like, "You're being ridiculous. I can't believe you're making such a big deal out of this. I know you're stressed with work, but this is over the top." As some of you mentioned in my previous post, it's impressive that I was able to stay level-headed during this conversation. I owe that to my father, who taught me that you never accomplish anything with anger. You can express your emotions without raising your voice. Quiet and concise messages are just as effective as yelling and screaming.
That's how I've lived my life for 28 years, with only a few exceptions.
This moment was an exception. I didn't exactly yell and scream, but I became furious. For her to try to blame this on me being a man, how unoriginal and offensive. Long story short, she said she'd never seen me this crazy, and I told her that I'd never seen a picture of another guy's junk on my wife's Snapchat before. She came back with that I shouldn't have looked at her Snapchat. I came back with that it was an accident, but even if it hadn't been, there shouldn't be any reason she's receiving Snapchats like that for me to see, accidentally or not, in the first place. I told her that I may be a man, but I'm also an intelligent person, and I am her husband, so I knew she was lying, and I deserved to know the truth. I asked if I could see her text messages to see if she's been texting Jack. She said, sure, no messages. Then I asked to see her Facebook messages. She looked like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. She told me no. I asked why. She finally broke and started to cry. Told me she couldn't let me see the messages because they would hurt me, because they were inappropriate. Then it all came out. They screwed in the back seat of his car the first night they met. This is already long, so I'll spare you all the details. But it's been an ongoing affair for months. No, they did not always use protection. Although I was recently screened for cysts, I'll be getting checked again in light of this information. My aunt already assured me that if she was unfaithful, we would cream her in court. Really, the only thing I'm willing to fight her tooth and nail for is our home. I put a lot of effort and money into making this home my dream space. I won't be seeking spousal support, but I will seek child support. I'm obviously heartbroken and told her to go stay in a hotel or with Jack for all I cared. I confronted her last night. My dad and brother stayed with me last night and let me sob all over them for hours. Right now, I'm sort of numb, but I'm also thinking very clearly. I know what my next 10 moves are, and I feel supported and secure in my decision to leave her. Update. It hasn't been long since I posted my last update, but I want to express my gratitude to all of you for your amazing support. I'm overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and encouragement that I've received. I wish I could respond to each and every one of you, but there are so many messages that I'm just going to say a big thank you to everyone who read my post, commented, messaged me, and wished me and my baby well. I'm currently at a friend's house, enjoying some sunshine and reading your messages. You've made me feel content and happy in a time when I'm struggling with both. This is proof that love exists, even when it's not within my former relationship. Love to all of you. Me again. I was planning on sharing more details about what happened during my confrontation with my wife, but I decided against it. Some things should remain private, especially since my wife may have seen this post. But I will say this. My mom and I stayed up late last night talking, and she reminded me that strong people can be intimidating to weak people. She told me to keep being strong and to not back down from anything. That way, the only people who won't be afraid of me are the bravest and strongest people out there, and those are the people who are worth having in my life. She also said that my wife is a coward who couldn't handle being with a strong, confident person like me. I just wanted to share that and encourage all of you to be strong and not put up with any nonsense. This will be my last post on the matter. I have a lot of work ahead of me as I prepare for court and move forward with my life. I may not be active on Reddit for a while, but I wanted to thank all of you for your kindness and support. Love and best wishes. Redditor's reaction, Redditor 1. I've been thinking of you since I saw the original post a few days ago. It broke my heart to hear this. You deserve 1,000 times better than a woman like her. You've handled the entire thing with utter grace by the sounds of things. I, for one, could not keep my cool, especially if I had pregnancy hormones whizzing around my body. I am flawed by your measured response and strength to leave someone who quite clearly doesn't deserve you. That is true strength. Your child is lucky to have such a strong father and role model. All the best for the future. You deserve happiness, Egg. Redditor follow-up. Although I feared the worst, I was expecting that she was going to be cheating. What I was not expecting was the op to be such a badass. What really struck me was having the next 10 moves planned. Oh, you are going to be an incredible father. I know your path forward is rocky, but I also know that nothing is ever really going to get you down. You've got this. Redditor 2. I'm so angry on your behalf. My eyebrows and blood pressure shot up at this part. Then she had the nerve to say something along the lines of, I feel like I'm on trial here. People warned me that you'd get crazy when you're pregnant, but I never thought it'd be this bad. You're going to be so much better off without her. Your baby will be greatly loved, and you'll be a kick-ass dad. Good luck to you. Redditor follow-up. Yeah, like he's the crazy one. She could have passed on instead to her husband an unborn child with her negligence. That's the crazy part. Redditor 3. I am so sorry to hear this, but it sounds like you're a tough and strong man. You will get through this. Duck that girl. Sending my best wishes your way. Redditor follow-up. Came here to say almost the exact same. I've wanted this baby since day one, and I am his father, which means that I'm strong enough to raise him alone because I have to be strong enough. He sounds like a kick-ass man. Duck that girl. She's not worthy.